Now, when I first started doing these mediations online exclusively back in March, I was the little weakling on the left side of the screen there. I kind of came to you with hat in hand and said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. It's not going to be any good, but it's better than nothing. And we'll get back to normal. And I'm not that way anymore. I have been totally converted. I'll probably never go back on mediations to anything other than online. There's a lot of things that have been improved and very few things that have been lost, in my opinion. Let's talk a little bit about the old way we're doing it. Of course, we all showed up at a big fancy downtown office building that had really expensive parking. And as we're riding up the elevator, maybe you said to me, hey, let's don't do a joint session. But what we had done is we'd essentially created a mediation day. And I literally mean a day. We stacked everything up for that one day. Oh, maybe a little bit before you'd send me a pre-mediation statement, and maybe you'd give me a pre-mediation call. But essentially we showed up, and then there was this joint session, maybe, or maybe it's a meet and greet, but we'd recess into private caucuses, and I'd spend an hour and a half or 2 hours with each side, and then maybe another short period of time with each side. But basically, you got to spend half the morning surfing the internet and telling jokes and billing your client, and I wasn't even around. So finally, about 2 o'clock, we'd start negotiating, and hopefully we'd get down to some sort of settlement. But the problem was, if we were going to be the least bit creative or business oriented in our solution, it would nearly unravel several times as people would try to draft complex agreements late in the night when everybody's tired and grumpy. So what we've been able to do, I think, with Zoom is basically take this stack of things that we'd all put on mediation day and turn them on their side. There's going to be it's more like a mediation month now, but little short snippets throughout the month. And we essentially have something that corresponds to everything we did before, except I think we're doing it a lot better now. First off, usually about a month out, I'm going to ask you to have a pre-mediation, preferably Zoom phone call with me, just so we can start working out the kinks, just the outside counsel. And we talk about the process we're going to go through before the day we actually get together. I'm going to try to talk you into doing shared pre-mediation statements. I know that's common practice in some states, but it's not in Texas. But what I'll try to talk you into is doing about a 5-page legal analysis and factual analysis that is relatively objective and civil, and y'all will share them with each other and, of course, then your clients. After that, we'll start the confidential Zoom breakout sessions. And I do mean Zoom. I want to be able to visit with you and your clients and at your convenience in a comfortable setting. And usually these are about an hour to an hour and a half long. And we start identifying some things in these sessions that we may need to do later. For example, sometimes it's pretty clear that I, and maybe even the lawyer and maybe even the client representative, need to know a little bit more about the technology or the business interests involved. And so I've had technology tutorials by an engineer, maybe 30 minutes or so, or a business tutorial by a key business person, maybe 30 minutes. And then we'll also maybe start talking about some homework assignments, and I'll say a little bit more about that later. Usually we get back and we have a second confidential breakout session, and here's where we really get down to planning what the process is going to be like on the day we get together, and also more specific homework assignments. By that I mean drafting stuff or anticipated drafting stuff. If we're going to have a creative business solution, for example, it might include a license agreement. Well, let's go ahead and get all those terms roughed in right now. It might include an injunction. Let's get those terms roughed in. It might include trying to eliminate some confusion in a trademark case. Well, what's that going to look like? Or we might have to put a former employee in the penalty box just because they've got some trade secrets that might be useful to our competitor. But we can start doing those beforehand so that we're not just caught flat-footed at the mediation in case the case does settle. Then, much closer to the day we're going to get together, I'll ask you for confidential pre-mediation statements. Again, 5 pages. And in these, you can talk to me a lot more about settlement dynamics. You can talk to me about business interests. You can talk to me about a lot of those things that you didn't want to share with the other side in that first pre-mediation statement. And then we finally get to negotiation day. And it's great because we get to start almost immediately with negotiations. We can have longer, more relaxed, more informed, wiser discussions, I think. And in 2 or 3 hours, we can feel pretty good about whether the case is worthwhile to keep going towards settlement, or whether we need to postpone and do something else, or whether or not the case just needs to be tried. But we're usually finding that out fairly early on. And then if we settle it, we'll spend some time on drafting it, maybe an hour or so, and then we're done. And so it seems to be working out really well. I only have anecdotal evidence so far. I've done over 25 of these now in either complex or technology or IP cases using this method. And the feedback is generally pretty positive. What's most overwhelming is happy clients. The clients love this, and I get great feedback from them. And I think they're more involved. It's cheaper, it's easier, it's more relaxed. They're comfortable. They feel like they're a part of the process. I think it's been surprisingly good out there. We also have happy judges too. I think there's plenty of judges that as the cases started backing up because they couldn't try jury trials, and then we had to start prioritizing certain things, and the civil docket kept getting pushed down. One of the things I think other mediators and I have noticed, and again, this is just anecdotal, it seems like more cases are settling at mediation now. And it seems like they might be settling earlier. And assuming that's really happening, it's making judges happy.